the longest minute. Hey, call this meeting to order. It's Monday, December 27th, 2021, at 6 p.m. We are in the council chambers. The agenda's been posted. The media has been notified. Please call roll.
Christopher Frederickson.
Here.
Thomas Barnett. Andrew Larson.
Here.
Carrie Mikulowski.
Here.
Thomas Kelly.
Here.
Gerald Anderson.
Here.
David Holt.
Here.
Eileen Daniel.
Here.
Ryan Rossing.
Here. We have a quorum. Please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public comments. Ben Gauthier. Did you say something?
Good evening. I'm Ben Gauthier. I was just recently nominated as the president of Little League, so I just wanted to introduce myself to the council. We have some business coming up with the city, so just wanted to let you know that I'm here if you have any questions or comments. Thank you.
Joel Knutson. Could you click the mic? It'll turn it red, and then there you go.
Are we hot? Good.
Yes.
Okay. Let me start over. Good evening, Council. My name is Joel Knutson. I'm the chair of the town of Crescent, and my address is 2829 Green Bass Road. About 7 years ago, I stood before this council as a then town supervisor in Crescent, working with then city administrator Blaine Oborn, presenting the town and city's joint proposal for what became known as the Heel Creek Project. At that time, Blaine and I identified a core objective behind our work, that it was the first major cooperative exchange between the town and city up to that time, and it would be a partnership that would, quote, put both governments on a path of working together to further develop community assets to the mutual economic and social benefits of area residents. So it's in that spirit of shared advocacy over common goals that brings me here tonight on a different topic, but for very similar reasons. I'm here to offer my support for and answer any questions the council may have pertaining to item H on the agenda tonight under new business. It's a proposed resolution in support of the town of Crescent's efforts at a complete rebuild with subsequent multifaceted series of recreational improvements of the town's River Road. The town of Crescent's River Road meanders north-south along the Hat Rapids flowage from Highway 8 down to the dam itself at Hat Rapids Road. For local trivia buffs, the town of Crescent's River Road is the one that lies both west and east of the city's borders. The fact that the town is even in the business of considering $1 million plus infrastructure investments points to the unique point in time of the state funding that's been made available specific to towns in the form of the Town Road Improvements Supplemental Program. This is a 4-year, 90% cost share program we're chasing, which is for most towns quite literally a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for investment. So when I address this possibility to our town crew, our board, former members of the board, and others in the area, River Road came up unanimously as the project we should chase. There's any number of roads that could benefit, but we felt that few would be as competitive to the specific demands of the grant and would have the regional Metro 54501 wider impact of a River Road rebuild. In short, we have a very rare opportunity before us where the town, not the city, may be the one taking the lead on improvements on a very popular destination in the area that attacks both residential, commercial, and recreational interests alike. So my ask here tonight will simply be a statement of support by the city towards our goal. Thank you.
Bill Freudenberg.
Bill Freudenberg, City of Rhinelander. I'd like to talk to you tonight about the topic on the agenda as far as the assistant fire chiefs go. And I, for one, am in support of what this fire department here and your firemen and your chief want that position back. So I'm asking you tonight to please reinstate that position as it was before. And also here to make an announcement that I'm running for mayor of the City of Rhinelander as well. Thank you.
Luke Drummond. Wait a minute. Nate Bates.
All right, I'm Nathan Bates. I work at Rhinelander Fire Department, part of Local 1028. Kind of want to go over a few things with everyone here this evening about what our union and what our department does. You know, a few things that we do. We're very involved in the community with our youth. We have multiple members that are involved with Little League, softball, track, soccer, things like that. Our union also does a lot of different things in the community, such as Breast Cancer Awareness Month, raising money to donate to the people in community as needed. We also do childhood cancer. You guys might also see us standing out on the street during Country Fest, raising money for Muscular Dystrophy Association. With that being said, we also have a benefit fund for donating money to people in the community for multiple different types of things. And with that being said, we'd like to pledge $1,000 for the overit for the skate park here to be put in. And we are in full support of the skate park being put in this community for these kids. Thank you.
Luke Drummond.
All right, Luke Drummond. Just want to say thank you guys for the conversations over the last month or so. Eileen, thank you for making it possible to have further discussion between yourselves tonight. Personally, I've given Chief my plan moving forward to find funds for the assistant chief. And I know he has some ways of moving forward with that. So hopefully the rest of the discussion goes well, and any questions, just continue to bring them by, and somebody's always at the station.
Anything to any of our older persons from their constituents? All right, this ends the public comment. Mayor's comments, I have none. Meeting minutes.
Daniel, make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from December 13th, 2021 council meeting as presented.
Michalowski, second.
Gerald? Can you click your button, please?
Two questions. The item under unfinished business, item C, about traffic signals. It says Stevens Street intersection. I thought we were discussing the one at Pelham and Anderson. If it's actually Stevens Street, I just like to know which one we were talking about.
It's Pelham, Anderson, and Stevens. So the point being that the through traffic at Stevens would receive the priority over the other two the cross section or the cross streets.
So that is the same intersection.
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It doesn't reference the actual intersection, but it references which road would receive the priority.
The other thing is under B under new business, over at the top of page 6, I guess it's called now. At the end of the third line, it says, there is no other reference to the department. And that's obviously untrue, since the fire chief is still in that document. I'd like to move to amend to add, instead of there's no other reference to the department, add, it has no effect on fire department manning or structure. Because I think that's what the concern of that particular discussion was about.
Yeah. You have a motion to,
Yeah, that's my motion, to amend to delete, there is no other reference to the department, and in its place put, it has no effect on fire department manning or structure.
I have an understanding what he's asking for. Is there a second?
What letter is this? I want to look.
B, it is under B. It is on page 6. Top of the page, probably third line down is where it starts.
End of third line. Yeah.
I'll take a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to amend it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
All right, 1 no. That was David Holt with the no. The motion carries. Now back to any other further discussion on the original motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Motion as amended. Reports from boards, commissions, and committees. Report from the October 26, 2021 Police and Fire Commission, and there's a report in there from the December 8th, 2021 Public Arts Commission, which there was no meeting minutes.
Holt, I'll make a motion to accept the reports from boards, commissions, and committees as presented.
Anderson, second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Unfinished business from previous council meetings. Discuss action items. Discuss update the federal EDA 2021 ARPA tourism grant opportunity.
This item we've talked about at previous meetings. Essentially, at this stage, we have begun the application process for it. Challenging to find an engineering firm or capable engineering consultant to perform the necessary engineering aspects. However, we did end up reconnecting with somebody that now works for the International Mountain Biking Association that previously was a Rhinelander resident, interestingly enough, and understands the scope and was a part of some of the original concepting out at the Heel Creek and Northwood recreational area. So we're currently working with them to determine if they would be willing to actually perform the work in the short window of time. We've got just over 4 weeks to get that turned around. However, EDA wants them submitted in advance of the deadline for some pre-review activity. Other than that, the process is ongoing and it looks fairly favorable, provided we do receive an engineering consultant that's able to perform the work to get us to a 30% design plan for the submission. So that's the only update I have on that at this time.
Any questions? Moving on. Introduction of new business. Discuss and approve the soliciting and statement of qualifications for web design services.
As has been discussed with the previous updates on the IT consolidation project, we did incorporate some monies in the 2021 borrowing to do a web redesign work. And so at this point in time, we'd like to solicit qualifications from firms that deem themselves qualified to perform web design services for the city. From there, we would develop a scope and then either negotiate directly with a narrowed list, probably would ask for some council review and input on those statements of qualifications, as many of them would include their portfolios and what their experience has been. I think instead of doing a request for proposals at this point in time, we still need to develop the scope, which would include things such as a city calendar. Right now we're using Google Calendar. It works, but it's a little clunky. It's not very user friendly. It's not mobile friendly, as well as getting our minutes and agendas and those things a little bit easier to be found. Laserfiche is a great portal for us, and to figure out what the role with Laserfiche will be with the new website, as well as just routine updating. Right now there's just a handful of us that do the updating, and it's pretty bare bones at this stage. We're not investing a considerable amount of time in updating the website, other than removing items of kind of time sensitive nature that shouldn't be on there anymore, or really some minor IT issues with links that seem to get broken occasionally. We have issues with the job posting aspect. So at this point in time, staff and I will be discussing what the qualifications, or the scope we'd like to have in the new website. But at this point in time, I just want permission to solicit the qualifications from various designers and or firms, and then come back with a scope ultimately to execute on that item.
Rossing, I'll make a motion to approve soliciting statements of qualifications for web design services.
Michalowski, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Discuss and approve resolution 2021-35, support for establishing a skate park. This is Tom Barnett's working with Zach on this, but I'll let Zach speak to it.
Yeah, the resolution's obviously pretty straightforward. We did have some discussion with some various partners community partners within the last couple of weeks, where people have come forward to express their interest in working with the city on this. Essentially, at this point in time, we're at what I would call a pre-planning phase, where we really want to involve the youth in kind of co-creating what they think the process should be to solicit community input and ultimately land on some of the concepts that they'd like to see. One of the community partners, Art Start, who was referenced last meeting, has graciously stepped up to be somewhat of a host for the youth, to have a planning and design session, as well as potentially to coordinate those activities with the city. One of the ideas that they raised, and I think the youth have talked about, is to solicit from the city some support for them to be able to visit various skate parks as the weather would allow in the spring, to start getting some ideas of what works well. Selecting a location is one of the many things we have to do associated with this project, but I think it's really important that the youth, as they have shown already, their ability and interest in taking the lead. And I don't think we want to take the lead on designing what it should be for them without really a great exercise that they would raise their hands and put together more formally what they would like to see that project look like. So Tom said, suggested that a resolution be brought forward to the council. So we drafted the one that you see tonight. And at the bottom are really the action steps, and welcome your input, additions, or revisions to what those action steps might be as we go forward. But really, this is the first step in a series of steps that need to occur in order for this to be realized. However, I do think it's important that the city council consider a resolution, put a formal endorsement on the concept or the idea, and then be able to engage staff and I and the youth at their request to move forward.
Danielle, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2021-35, support for establishing a skate park.
Larson, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? A big portion.
I got it. Go ahead.
I can speak?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to speak too. I'll just wait till you're done.
Yeah, okay. A big portion of this too is even work product, as far as with our city administrator and other things moving forward and prioritizing. Allowing the resolution to sit tells us that it is of value to us. Ryan, and then I'll get you, Tom.
Yeah, I'm in favor of this. This is really, like you said, putting the city's stamp of approval on it. I'm just wondering if there's anything else that we can do as far as moving this along to try and find or help find the location, as we're also working with them in their design scope and what they want to do. But in the meantime, finding a suitable spot in the city while that other stuff is going on.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think one of the partners that approached us offered to potentially throw their hat in the ring for site selection that potentially could be off city property, which we haven't really explored pros and cons of that. It's an idea at this stage. I think we really need to figure out from the youth, one, where are they currently skating and skateboarding, I think is a question, and it sounds like they're currently doing it on some former school district property is a common place. So I think accessibility and location is certainly key to making sure it serves youth of all abilities to get there physically. I think that that's really important. So I would agree that location discussions should be concurrent with some of the planning efforts, because there, as you know, there's pre-planning with soil borings and other things that just take time, right, to do. So I would agree.
Tom?
That was pretty much my same question that Ryan asked, so.
As even the partners identified some of themselves by coming forward this week, some of the ideas and some of the concepts that come with that allowed for some of that adjustment. So it's good to follow the process as it goes through. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Discuss and approve Little League request for reimbursement for payment at Hodag Park.
Larson, I'll make a motion to reimburse Little League for the amount of $3,560.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? This is a leftover issue of some renovations that happened to the concession stand, and the asphalt needed to be replaced. There was question out there for a few years as far as to whose responsibility that was. Tom Roser got a hold of me today. He said, I have a truck full of asphalt. What should I do? I said, well, I'll do it and we'll bill them and see what happens. And they requested their money back, which is perfectly fine. And so I'm coming to council now to say, it was never part of a negotiation with them to do it, yet how it got torn up, those are ifs, thens, whys, and whats from the past. So any other further discussion? Call roll.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Ryan Rossing,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski,
Aye.
Thomas Kelly,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett, David Holt,
Aye.
Andrew Larson.
Aye. Ayes have it, motion carries. Discuss and approve resolution 2021-34, preliminary resolution for the special assessment of Olson Lane.
This item has also been discussed at previous meetings, subject to moving forward with the special assessments procedures for the installation of water and sewer for the construction, to service the construction of a new home just to the south of Lincoln Street. At this time, we don't know if the adjacent properties to the south of the home that's requested the service extension needs the services or would be willing to connect, and that will, once the preliminary resolution's passed, we'll be providing formal notice to those other property owners for their consideration. So again, this is the first step. It's not binding. It's not initiating an actual assessment at this time, but initiates the process. We have to do a public notice with a public hearing at a subsequent meeting on the topic. So again, this is just to get the ball rolling internally on matters.
I'd accept a motion.
Rossing, I will make a motion to approve resolution 2021-34, preliminary resolution for special assessments on Olson Lane.
Anderson, second.
So motion is second. Discussion?
Yeah, it seems kind of strange to use the term governing body in the first couple of lines here. So unless there's some good reason not to, I'd like to move to amend it by changing government body to common council wherever that occurs. Basically, those first two lines, I believe. Oh, no, number 4 also.
There's a motion.
I assume it was borrowed from somewhere else.
You're making an amending motion?
Yes, that was motion
Okay.
to amend by changing governing body to common council, each a place that it occurs.
Is there a second? Motion fails. Back to the original. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Discuss and approve the display of advertisement of the Pioneer Park Historical Complex. This is Rossi.
Yeah, I just asked for this to be put on the agenda. One, because the Pioneer Park Historical Complex is, in my opinion, never looked quite so good in the winter Christmas season, and the lights are quite spectacular down there. So I wanted to give some credit to the hands that put that together, and I made some phone calls to try and get a list of the names of the people that did that, and I was unsuccessful. So if anybody has the names of those people, I'd appreciate some info on that. And second, I've talked a couple times about this with the wayfinding and directing people to the complex, and I'd still like to have a sign up on the bypass area that points people to Pioneer Park Historical Complex. And I talked to the mayor, and I think through the ARPA money, this is something that could be possible. We could use some funds from that to pay for wayfinding. And we had the destination assessment that I took part in, and so did the mayor. And this was like in the top 3 of the things in the destination assessment that should be done in Rhinelander was wayfinding. So I would like to, I guess, make a motion to ask city administration to move forward with finding ways to move forward with the wayfinding and putting a sign up on the bypass for the PPHC.
Michalowski, second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Tom?
Chris, can we use room tax money for this?
Quite possible, but I do know there's other avenues that they are looking, and I'll let.
Yeah, in terms of other funding sources, the county, the Funding Opportunities Committee that got assembled this last fall, we made a joint submission with Minocqua, Three Lakes, and the various chambers in the communities to make a pitch for a fundraising effort for wayfinding. So it would take trails and communities and civic points of interest throughout the county to establish a cohesive and a similar wayfinding system amongst the communities, of which Pioneer Park Historical Complex would fall within that, just like our parks or the courthouse or City Hall. So at this point, that was funded. However, I think there's still some question of whether the county board, and I don't know, Tom, if you got any updated information, if the county board's blessed that plan yet. But it's our understanding there was money earmarked of ARPA funds for the purposes of wayfinding. I just don't know if the final blessing has occurred at the county level yet. Oh, okay. Okay.
Eileen.
Who pays for, like, when you're driving on Highway 51, driving north, do you see the blue signs that say things like gas stations? But I've seen ones that say tourist attractions. How do we get something like that put up on Highway 51, like a mile or so before the exit? Who pays for stuff like that?
Generally, it's a request of DOT. In fact, I had talked to Carrie previously about those historical marker signs, the brown ones, which you see. Yeah, instead of the blue ones are more commercial, but the brown ones are the more public points of interest. Carrie had the process. It's through the Wisconsin Historical Society, and I'm unaware of where that went at this point, but certainly we'll get in touch with him pending the action tonight.
Yeah, I'm sorry, was there somebody?
Gerald had his hand up. Gerald?
Yeah, my question is just, is this term wayfinder or whatever it is that a technical term of some sort? I'm not sure what all that includes.
Yeah, wayfinding, there's vehicular wayfinding, there's pedestrian level wayfinding, which generally you'd see in downtown areas, and then there's bicycle or snowmobile wayfinding. So it really depends on what you're talking about. I think Ryan's specifying vehicular wayfinding is my interpretation off of the state highways or arterial thoroughfares, that type of thing.
Yeah, I guess if Zach, if you could follow up with Carrie And then also with the DOT, if there's something that needs to be done for that up in the bypass area. Because, I mean, you see, like Eileen said, those brown signs for Crescent Lake Boat Landing on Highway 8, they're all over the place, so I don't think there's any reason we can't take the steps to get that in that location. So.
All right, there's a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Discuss the 2022 chip seal mill overlay curb and gutter replacement plan.
We had previously brought the 5-year capital improvement plan before the city council for their approval, review and approval. As part of the budget process, we budgeted both concrete, curb and gutter, as well as chip seal monies for activities for next year. And we're going to be soliciting proposals from contractors after your consideration tonight, but this is generally the scope. Wanted to make sure there weren't any additional considerations. I know Dan's he's on vacation this week and not here, so I can probably address most of the questions, but between Mark and I, we worked on this and believe it's a pretty solid plan. Essentially, we take the city into a 5-year rotation, so we try to hit the streets that are salvageable, which I think is a subjective word in a lot of ways, and apply a chip seal, which prolongs the surface, the ride quality for a number of years, as much as 5, maybe longer, depending on how trafficked the street is. And so this is the scope. And then we also have the mill and overlay activities we've got included in here. At some point, we have to do a conscious decision of whether or not we include a full or any curb rehab associated with the project, especially if it's on, let's say, a 10 or a 15-year replacement life. Adding curb or replacing curb to the tune of $40,000 is a lot of times not worth it, especially if we're going to do a full reconstruction project. So if there are streets on the list that don't currently have curb or have really poor curb, it's likely that those streets are picked up on a full reconstruction project elsewhere. And so our grant submittal for next year excludes, we don't have the chip seal on here, and we would add them back in if in fact those grants were unsuccessful for reconstruction going forward.
Rossing, I'll make a motion to approve 2022 chip seal mill overlay and curb and gutter replacement plan.
Holt, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Discuss the newspaper of record from the River News to the Star Journal. This is Alderperson Daniel.
Yeah, it's been discussed several times at City Council, possibly changing our newspaper of record from the River News to the Star Journal, mostly due to the fact that the Star Journal is delivered to every address in the city of Rhinelander. I was directed to a recent article in the municipality that we got last council meeting. The issue we're running up against is that currently Wisconsin state statute claims that that the newspaper of record has to have a certain number of paid subscribers. Since the Star Journal is distributed for free, there are no, quote, paid subscribers. It does not appear at this time that legally we could use the Star Journal as our newspaper of record as much as we would want to. However, what I would encourage everyone to do, if you'd like to see this change made, is start writing to your state representatives to get that changed. What? Because until we get it changed at the state level, we can't do it here. Or we start asking the Star Journal to charge people a penny an issue. And 52 cents a year, they can continue to get it, and they're still paid subscribers.
I know this was discussed as far as even when we had our public listings of people saying they don't pay for the the Northwoods River News. So it has been an issue, and it's before us.
I have a question.
Ryan?
So with the newspaper of record and where the city has things posted, what else is there that goes along with the newspaper of record? If somebody could answer that question for me.
The only thing that goes with it is that's where all official publication of any notices have to be as far as the city is concerned. But a newspaper of record has a lot more ramifications because there are certain legal notices that have to be published in that paper of record. Summons and complaints that can't be served have to be published in the newspaper of record. So it's a concept that has been around since the 1930s. And yeah, you can, if you study the attempts by the advertisers organizations to change the law, they have tried on numerous occasions because they're free publications and they have a wider circulation is their argument. But it hasn't gone very far in the legislature.
I guess my question would be, is there any reason that we couldn't have our stuff posted in
Yes,
more
the state
than,
law requires us to use an official newspaper.
right, so use the official newspaper, but then if we want to have it in something that gets to every home in the city, can we do that as well?
There's no prohibition of spending more money to put out more notices.
I guess I'd have to ask the clerk what that would cost for all of the amounts of postings that we have to do throughout the year. It's probably not a number that you'd have off top of your head at this point, so. Something to think about.
Gerald?
Well, something, especially while we're talking about trying to change the state law, for the future, we need to be looking into how to communicate electronically, but through the website or through other means, since that's where most people get their news nowadays.
It's my understanding that public hearings and meetings and agendas are already posted on our website. Is that correct? That's what I thought.
There's no further discussion. We'll move on. Discuss approve the resolution 2021-36, Town of Crescent request for support of the River Road reconstruction proposal. I'll accept the motion.
Michalowski, I will make a motion to approve resolution 2021-36, Town of Crescent request for support of River Road reconstruction proposal.
Holt, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just want to say, I think this is, I mean, anything with the Heel Creek property is in my opinion, a worthy cause. It's going to be great for the area, and partnering with another government jurisdiction is a good thing. So, has my approval. Thanks.
Yeah, I would like to add to that too that I'd like to applaud the efforts of the town of Crescent as far as reaching out to the city. We've had some good communications on a variety of issues, and I do appreciate that effort also. Nothing else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Discuss and approve the denial of claim from WPS for a damaged pole.
Go ahead, Steve. I was just going to say, it's a routine procedure for us to bring these denials to the council, and maybe Steve wants to weigh in as to the protocol purpose for that.
It's the process that you have to go through. The allegation is that one of our trucks hit a pole last winter or last spring, and they're finally, WPS is now telling us how much we should pay for that pole. Typically, we deny it, we send it to our insurance company, then they really decide if under coverage there should be coverage. But for the purposes of, they can't WPS can't do anything further unless we take action. And that's just the way the system works, so to speak.
So basically, we have to deny this so that the insurance can take it over.
Well, yeah, because if we approved it,
Then
that's
it's-
kind of like admitting we did it on purpose, and we don't
Oh,
want to do that.
well, of course we did not.
Well, that's why you're going to deny it.
Gotcha. Well, then I will make a motion to deny the claim from WPS for the damaged pole.
Anderson, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Which there shouldn't be any. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Discuss and approve the service agreement with the United County Humane Society.
I'm not sure if there's anybody present from the Humane Society. I did correspond with them previous to this being included in the packet. Essentially, it's the same agreement you saw last year, other than the dates being shown as 2022 and the amount updated, reflected in the proposal.
So there are no changes to this at all.
Correct.
I will make a motion to approve the service agreement with the United County Humane Society.
Anderson, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye. No. No.
Okay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Closed session, if necessary, to convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute Section 19.851CE, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governing body has jurisdiction, or the council, or exercises responsibility, deliberate or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investment of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Discuss golf course management, discuss the parameters for the developer agreement, discuss contract negotiations with Rhinelander Professional Police Association Local 38 and IAFF Local 1028.
Holt, I will make a motion to go into closed session for the above stated purposes.
Larson, second.
We have a motion and a second. Gerald?
It also intended that there'll be discussion of the assistant chief issue that's listed below that.
Yeah, it's listed in the
Okay.
closed session reasoning. Call roll.
David Holt.
Aye.
Ryan Rossing.
Aye.
Eileen Daniel.
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski.
Aye.
Gerald Anderson.
Aye.
Thomas Barnett. Thomas Kelly.
Aye.
Andrew Larson.
Aye. We'll move into closed session in 2 minutes. We return to open session. Item 8, discuss and approve the golf course management agreement.
I will make a motion to not renew the contract with Green Golf Partners and to enter into an agreement with Altum Golf.
We have a motion.
Daniel,
Daniel, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Yeah, go ahead.
Will they be contacted tomorrow? Or this evening? All
This
right.
evening, yes. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Approval of the negotiated contract with IAFF Local 1028.
Rossing, I'll make a motion to approve the negotiated contract with IAFF Local 1028.
Holt, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Discuss revising organizational chart to reinstate the Assistant Chief, Alderperson Daniel.
The Assistant Chief position, as it was on the original org chart, before it was revised, was the main duties involved duties that are now handled by the city inspector. Therefore, any new assistant chief position would be just that, a brand new position with new job duties, a whole new starting from scratch. So I think what we need to do is take a look at the job duties as recommended by our new chief and continue to have ongoing discussions with what needs the community has, what needs currently exist, how we can best as a city serve the community through our emergency response teams, both the fire department and possibly the police department going forward. So what I'm saying right now is I believe we need to continue to have discussions, identify needs, and find the best way to address those needs. Thank you.
David?
Did we want to set up a work session within the next few weeks? I thought that a motion to set up a work session was going to be a part of that.
Did you want to make that motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to set up, to direct city staff to set up a work
Michalowski,
session
second.
to discuss. No, it's okay. Now I can say anything because you already seconded it. Yeah.
Would the chief like to address council at this point?
Good evening. I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. Good to see you back here. I do want to just clear one thing up real quick, Eileen. The assistant chief position in 2010 was moved from a 40-hour work week position to a 40-hour work week position because of the ALS system that we went to. So the assistant chief position was always a fire department position. It wasn't a building inspections position. So it morphed, as I said in my letter on the attachment in the packet, into a full-blown building inspector position, but it was always a fire department position. So this is not a new position that we're asking for. This is a reinstatement of a position that was there. That assistant chief position was still supposed to be involved in administering the EMS program and was the service director for that program still. So it's not a completely different position altogether. I do appreciate discussion and the work session and everything. And go ahead, Al.
However, it was being funded mostly through inspection fees. Is that Is that a fair assessment? So
9%, I believe, was being funded by the ambulance fund.
and the
with
remaining
balance coming from the general fund.
93% coming from the general fund.
Yeah, 91 versus
sorry.
9, I believe.
It's after 7 p.m.
There
I
was
can't
there was
do
some
math.
shift in over the course of that period of time. I believe the chief moved the allocation. I don't remember from what to what, but
Okay.
Daniel Guild moved it
okay.
in 2000,
That would have been 19.
2018. Moved it into an inspections, put a line item in as an inspections budget line item, as opposed to the fire department line item.
And that is how the position was funded. Am I correct? I just want to make sure that this is, I'm being accurate. I don't want to, be misquoted or have, have wrong information. So it does, we definitely have the fire department's back. We want to make sure our community is safe. We want to make sure there are the right people in the right positions who are not only doing their job, but love doing their job, right? That they've got all the support that they need. We want to be there for you guys. At this point, though, we're looking at how would we fund a position like that. It's not in the 2022 budget. Previously, the assistant chief was funded through inspections department. Now are the inspections monies. Now that money is going towards our inspector, which makes sense. Well, this work session, what we're hoping to do with this work session is identify the needs that have holes right now, where things aren't being addressed. Things are slipping through the cracks because there's not someone who's able to pick up that slack because they're already doing a 40-hour work week, right? So we definitely want to invite anybody who has an interest in this to come to this work session. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That includes members of the public?
Absolutely. I would probably start with a section that would have public comment on that so that the dialogue could be between the interested parties of actually moving a work product forward. A lot of people have opinions, but actually moving a work product forward has to do with the interested parties.
Okay. So I would encourage anyone with a vested interest in this to attend this work session, which will be, as always, publicly noticed. They will be listed on the website. Agenda will be posted ahead of time, yes? Or is there an agenda for a work session, or is it just
There's no agenda,
Okay.
and there's no voting that takes place.
Correct.
Basically, it is a collection of information and gathering that way, so people understand what previously and or is happening moving forward. And even in moving forward, it's work product. So that's what's a little different is work product versus something we have to amend.
Gotcha.
5 times. We can turn around and build it the right way.
Absolutely. Okay. So while I'm sure that's not exactly what you guys wanted to hear tonight, please know that we are working on this with the best interest of the department in mind, with the best interest of the community in mind.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate you keeping it on the forefront for us in the support.
So look for a email requesting some dates coming up soon. Winter's good. With that, we have a motion for a work session on the table that was seconded by Carrie really quick. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Future agenda items, anything that anybody wants to add? With that, we are at the end of our agenda, so we are adjourned.